All right, Katie, thank you. At 7:56, we're continuing our conversation this morning about the state of education and the impact for children when it comes to learning loss. And we've got Len Silverman with Huntington Learning Centers talking with us about what he's seeing. Now, Len, we know you run these tutoring centers, but want to ask the question for people who don't have the resources, right? For somebody who cannot get into a center to get that kind of help, what kind of specific questions do parents need to be asking teachers in order to get to the bottom of where their children stand in the classroom?
That's an excellent question, Jennifer, and that's a real struggle right now. We do have to keep in mind, too, that teachers are impacted by COVID as much as parents and students. And, they're seeing students come and go and out on quarantine. We've got teachers who are having difficulty staying in the classroom consistently because cases are on the rise. So it's a difficult time sometimes to have that sit-down conversation with a teacher. I would say in the short run, the best thing for a parent to do is to keep in mind the word consistency. The key in education is always consistency. And so if you're seeing that your child is struggling and you feel like something is a bit off, you may not know exactly where they stand at that moment. But the one thing you could do as a parent is sit down with your child, have a conversation about it, work with them a little bit on their homework and get a feel for where they are, where are their struggles. Take note of that so when you do have a conversation with the teacher, you can talk more specifically about what you're seeing at home.
Len, you just talked about teachers being overworked, and, unfortunately, we're seeing stories out of places like Baltimore City Schools, for example, where grades are, in fact, fudged. That way students can continue on. So it is so important for parents to notice some of those things. You talked about parents noticing something that may just be a little bit off. What are we talking about? Is it not necessarily paying attention at home? What are some of the things that you want parents specifically to take note of?
Yeah, one of the things that's definitely happening now, and we cannot downplay it, there's an awful lot of stress and there's an awful lot of impact on the mental state of our kids. They are well aware of what's going on. So I think it's really important to, number one, note their motivation level. If you're finding that a student is becoming increasingly unmotivated, there's generally a reason for that. Kids are quick to react when they're being asked to do things that they don't feel particularly strong in. So be on the lookout for that. If you're seeing a decline in motivation, that's usually one of the first signs that something is wrong.
Interesting.
The second,
Len, continue, please.
The second thing is to also keep in mind that when a student is working on homework is generally just a reflection of something they've already learned in the classroom. So if they're significantly struggling with their homework, then there's a disconnect. Something happened where they didn't learn the fundamental material. So if you're seeing real struggles with homework, that also is a red flag for you and would tell you, oh, maybe my student's skill level isn't exactly where it needs to be.
Len Silverman with Huntington Learning Center. Len is a neighbor here in Middle Tennessee. He's in Sumner County, and so we know that you are in this with us. He's got kids, and we really appreciate your perspective this morning, both personally and professionally. Len, we thank you for your time.